Imagine a moment when your mind feels completely still, free from the usual noise and distractions. Maybe you've experienced this while gazing at a breathtaking sunset or losing yourself in a peaceful activity you love. It's a feeling of deep calm, where everything seems to align, and you're not overwhelmed by constant thoughts or worries. This serene state we're talking about is closely related to a concept we'll call emptiness in consciousness, also known as pure consciousness. But what does it mean? Essentially, emptiness in consciousness refers to a profound sense of clarity and peace that arises when our minds are no longer filled with habitual thoughts and projections. It's not about emptying your mind in the sense of losing something important, but rather discovering a state of being where there's space for deeper understanding and happiness. What I'm about to tell you has the potential to change your life forever. Make sure you watch all the way to the end. Think of it like this: when you clean out a cluttered room, you create a fresh, open space that feels inviting and calm. Similarly, when the mind quiets and the usual mental clutter is set aside, what remains is a natural, peaceful state of consciousness. This emptiness allows for a more profound, genuine experience of happiness, one that isn't dependent on external factors but is a result of a clearer, more present state of being. As we explore this idea further, remember that emptiness in consciousness is about uncovering a hidden depth of peace and joy that's always within us, waiting to be realized. Imagine your mind as a serene lake, once calm and clear. Now, picture it being bombarded with endless ripples from every direction, each one representing a societal expectation. These ripples come from various sources: social media, advertising, family, and friends, all pressing on you to conform to certain standards. Every day, from the moment you wake up, you're faced with pressures to meet specific ideals. Maybe you see an ad for the latest fashion, which subtly tells you that happiness lies in looking a certain way. Or you scroll through social media and notice friends boasting about their new cars or dream vacations, making you feel like you're falling behind if you haven't achieved similar milestones. At work, you're often measured by your productivity and success, pushing you to work harder and climb higher, sometimes at the cost of your personal happiness. These constant pressures shape your identity and create an image of who you're supposed to be. It's like being handed a script and told to play a role in a show where every scene is about success, appearance, and status. You might feel like you're constantly auditioning for a part you never signed up for, where the real you gets lost behind the character you're expected to be. Here's where the secret comes in: stepping away from these pressures and taking a moment to find stillness can reveal something profound. When you let go of the societal expectations and the constant pursuit of approval, you create a space where you can reconnect with your true self. This isn't just about rejecting societal norms, but about discovering a deeper sense of fulfillment and happiness that comes from being authentic. By clearing away the noise, you allow the true essence of who you are to shine through, leading to a life that feels more real and deeply satisfying. Now imagine stepping into a room filled with clutter, old furniture, dusty books, and random knickknacks. It's overwhelming and hard to see the space's true potential. Now picture clearing everything out, leaving behind an open, clean room with endless possibilities. This is what the concept of emptiness in consciousness is like. Emptiness, in this context, isn't about feeling empty or lacking. Instead, it's about letting go of the clutter of concepts, beliefs, and judgments that we've accumulated over time. These are the ideas and expectations that shape how we see ourselves and the world. They might include long-held beliefs about success, happiness, or how we should behave. For example, think about how societal norms tell us we must always be busy, celebrating one's ability to multitask the most, or their superficial definition of looking successful to be valued. If you've grown up believing that you need to be constantly achieving or accumulating to be worth something, these beliefs can weigh heavily on you. They shape your self-image and influence how you interact with others, often leading to stress and dissatisfaction. Letting go of these ingrained ideas is like giving your mind a fresh start. It's about questioning and releasing the mental barriers that define you. When you let go of the preconceived notions about who you should be, you create space to discover who you truly are, unburdened by external expectations. This process isn't easy; it requires self-reflection and courage. But by embracing emptiness, you allow yourself to experience life more authentically. You begin to see yourself and others without the filters of societal judgment, leading to a deeper and more genuine understanding of yourself and the world around you. At first glance, the idea of emptiness might seem unsettling. It's like staring into an abyss where everything you've known and clung to seems to vanish. This initial sense of loss can feel overwhelming, as though you're left with nothing. But here's the pivotal truth: this very emptiness is where the magic happens. Think of it as hitting a reset button on your life. Imagine you're clearing a garden overrun with weeds. At first, the bare soil might look barren and empty, but this is the crucial moment before something new and beautiful can grow. Emptiness, in this sense, is not a void but a fertile ground for transformation. Our society often pushes us to chase after achievements, status, and material possessions, all while defining our worth based on these external factors. We build identities around these societal expectations, our jobs, our social circles, and even our appearance. But when we experience that deep sense of emptiness, we start to see through these constructed layers. It's like seeing through a fog that has clouded our vision. By confronting this emptiness, we begin to question and peel away the artificial layers of our egos. We can then reconnect with what truly matters. This process allows us to uncover our core values and desires, those genuine aspects of ourselves that are often buried beneath societal pressures. This realization can be profoundly liberating. It's like finding a hidden treasure within yourself, one that wasn't defined by external validation but was always there, waiting to be discovered. Embracing emptiness allows us to strip away the superficial and reconnect with our authentic selves, opening the door to genuine transformation and a deeper sense of fulfillment. Embracing emptiness offers us a chance to see beyond our usual boundaries. It's not about disappearing or becoming nothing, rather, it's about understanding the deep interconnectedness of everything around us. Imagine for a moment looking at a vast, intricate web. Each thread is part of a larger design, connected and dependent on all the others. Emptiness helps us recognize that our lives are part of this grand tapestry. When we talk about transcending our limited perceptions, we're referring to moving beyond the narrow view we often hold of ourselves and our lives. For instance, think about how we often define ourselves by our roles, whether as a parent, a professional, or a friend. These labels can confine us, making us forget the broader picture of our shared humanity. By embracing emptiness, we start to see that these roles are just parts of a bigger whole, and we are all connected in ways we might not usually notice. Comment below: embracing emptiness makes me limitless. This realization is freeing. It's like shedding a heavy coat that has weighed you down for years. Once we let go of rigid beliefs and concepts that confine us, we find ourselves more fully present in the moment. It's similar to the experience of a deep breath in a peaceful setting. When the noise of daily life and the constraints of our preconceptions fall away, we tap into a deeper sense of power and presence. In this space of presence, we access a profound clarity and calm. It's where we truly connect with our core self and our place in the world. This isn't just about feeling good, it's about engaging with life more fully, authentically, and powerfully. By understanding emptiness in this way, we open ourselves to a more connected and enriched experience of living. Becoming empty is a journey of subtle release rather than strenuous effort. It's not about pushing or forcing your mind to be still, but rather allowing the clutter of identity, thoughts, and memories to naturally fade away. Imagine your mind as a room that's been filled with old, unused furniture. To experience emptiness, you don't need to actively clean the room. Instead, you let go of the furniture, allowing the room to reveal its spaciousness on its own. Surrendering to this emptiness means giving up the mental projections and illusions that usually dominate our thoughts. It's like letting go of a tight grip on a rope, freeing up your hands to grasp something more meaningful. When we release these mental projections, we create space for deeper wisdom to emerge and guide our actions. This wisdom isn't something we force or conjure up, it's a natural, intuitive understanding that comes forth when we're not bogged down by our usual mental chatter. Comment like this: I surrender and let go. However, this process isn't without its challenges. Our ego, which thrives on control and identity, doesn't easily give up its grip. It resists emptiness by dredging up old thoughts, memories, and fears in an attempt to maintain its hold over us. Think of the ego as a gatekeeper, frantically trying to keep its post even as the old keys and locks become obsolete. This resistance can feel like a storm of distractions and anxieties, making it hard to find that peaceful, open space within. Navigating these challenges requires patience and persistence. It's about gently observing the ego's attempts to cling to control without getting entangled in its drama. As you continue on this path, you'll find that the more you let go, the clearer and more profound your experience of emptiness becomes. It's a journey of continuous release, where each step forward brings you closer to a state of true presence and inner clarity. The power of disinterested observation is a profound practice in embracing emptiness. It's about watching your thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. Imagine sitting by a river and watching leaves float by. You're aware of the leaves, but you don't grab onto them or let them pull you into the water. Similarly, when you observe your thoughts without attaching to them, you maintain a sense of calm and detachment. Attention is a superpower we all possess. Whatever we focus on shapes our experience and reality. But here's the key: the observer, your true self, the part that watches, holds even greater power than the attention itself. It's like being the director of a movie who can see all the scenes without being immersed in any one scene. This broader perspective allows you to see beyond the immediate details and understand the bigger picture. Consciously letting go is an essential part of this process. It's like decluttering a space. When you remove the old and unnecessary items, you create room for new possibilities. By intentionally releasing your grip on thoughts and identities, you clear the way for a deeper sense of presence and connection with your true self. This space isn't empty in a negative sense. It's a rich, open field where you can experience life more fully and authentically. So, practice observing without engagement, recognize the immense power of your true observing self, and embrace the act of letting go. As you do, you'll find that you're not losing anything valuable, but rather discovering a deeper, more genuine aspect of yourself. This practice opens up a profound sense of freedom and presence that transforms how you experience the world. The cycle of seeking and suffering is a powerful pattern that many of us experience. At its core, it begins with a feeling of emptiness, a void within us that drives us to search for fulfillment in various ways. This void can push us to chase after possessions, achievements, or relationships, hoping they will fill the emptiness we feel. Yet, despite our efforts, this pursuit often leads to disappointment and an ongoing sense of dissatisfaction. Consider this: when we feel incomplete or unfulfilled, we might seek solace in new experiences or material gains. For instance, buying a new gadget or starting a new hobby might provide temporary happiness, but the excitement fades, and we find ourselves searching for the next thing. This cycle of seeking and temporary satisfaction can become a repetitive pattern, as each new pursuit eventually falls short of providing lasting contentment. The root of our desires is often a deeper, more fundamental longing to return to a state of inner peace. We yearn to reconnect with a sense of wholeness and tranquility that seems just out of reach. But, as we chase after external fixes, these compensatory activities, like accumulating wealth or achieving status, frequently leave us feeling more apathetic and disconnected than before. However, when we start to look beyond these superficial pursuits and delve into our true nature, we begin to see things differently. We start to understand that our true essence is not defined by external accomplishments or possessions. This understanding helps us perceive beyond the surface of duality, the constant interplay of opposites such as success and failure, pleasure and pain. By exploring and embracing our deeper nature, we discover a sense of peace and fulfillment that transcends these dualities. It's a realization that what we're truly seeking is not outside of us but within. As we align more closely with our true selves, the endless cycle of seeking and suffering begins to dissolve, revealing a more profound and enduring sense of contentment. In the quiet spaces of our minds, where silence reigns, we find the true seeds of understanding and transformation. This silent mind is not merely an absence of noise, but a profound state of being where desire and mental images no longer cloud our vision. It's in this serene silence that we can genuinely connect with our inner wisdom and experience deep, lasting change. Imagine a moment of complete silence. It's not just about the absence of sound, but about a mental space where your usual thoughts and distractions fade away. In this quietude, your mind becomes clear, free from the constant chatter of desires and the images we hold onto about ourselves and the world. This state of silence provides a unique vantage point from which we can gain true insights and perspectives. When we observe our thoughts without judgment or comparison, we enter a realm of calm. Think of it like watching clouds float by in the sky without trying to grab or change them. Instead of getting caught up in the content of our thoughts, analyzing, critiquing, or even indulging in them, we simply watch them pass. This practice helps slow the relentless flow of thoughts and brings a sense of tranquility to our mental landscape. In this state of total awareness, where conflict and resistance are absent, we experience a profound harmony. The silence that remains isn't just an empty void, but a space filled with pure, undisturbed attention. It's in this pure awareness that we find freedom, a liberation from the mental patterns and conflicts that often dominate our lives. The transformative power of a silent mind lies in its ability to reveal a deeper, more harmonious state of being, where we are not bound by the usual struggles and conflicts. Our intellect is like a gatekeeper, always on the lookout, filtering every experience and making sense of the world. It's the part of our mind that decides what's safe, what's not, what's true, and what's false. This constant filtering helps us navigate daily life, but it also keeps us locked in patterns of judgment and comparison. It's as if we're always wearing glasses that tint everything we see, shaping our reality based on past experiences and learned beliefs. But what if we could take off those glasses? What if, instead of constantly evaluating everything, we allowed ourselves to just be, to experience life without the mind's interference? This is where total attention comes in, a state where the intellect takes a back seat and we're fully present in the moment. Imagine sitting by a river. The intellect is like a person standing beside you, constantly commenting on the water, its color, speed, temperature. This water is too cold, it says, or it's moving too fast. But what if that voice suddenly went quiet? Without those judgments, you start to experience the river as it is, without any filters. You notice the subtle reflections on the water, the gentle sound of the current, and the way the sunlight dances on the surface. You're not just observing the river, you're immersed in the experience of it. This is the power of silent listening. It's not about shutting off the mind, but about allowing it to rest, to be still. In this stillness, life starts to penetrate deeply. You see things not as they appear through the lens of your past, but as they truly are in the present moment. You're free from the memories that usually cloud your vision, from the conflicts that typically disturb your peace. In this state of total attention, there's a sense of clarity and purity. It's like watching a movie on a clean screen, where the colors are vivid and the details are sharp. You're not distracted by scratches or smudges on the screen, which represent your thoughts and judgments. Instead, you're fully engaged with the story unfolding before you. Take the words of Eckhart Tolle, who said, "To realize that you are not your thoughts is when you begin to awaken spiritually." When we move beyond the constant chatter of the intellect, we awaken to a deeper level of awareness. This awareness doesn't judge or compare, it simply observes. In this pure state, there's no conflict, only harmony. You're in sync with life itself, responding not from a place of conditioned thinking, but from a place of pure, unfiltered presence. This shift from intellect to total attention is transformative. In this state, there's no longer a division between you and the world. There's just life, flowing through you, unimpeded by the barriers of the mind. This is where true freedom lies, beyond the noise of the intellect, in the quiet space of total awareness. Meditation is often seen as a journey inward, a practice aimed at finding the one who meditates, the self behind all thoughts and experiences. We sit down, close our eyes, and begin to observe our breath, our thoughts, and our feelings. The aim, consciously or not, is to uncover that inner self, the one who is watching all of this unfold. But what happens when we don't find anything? What if the meditator, the one we thought was at the center of it all, doesn't actually exist in the way we imagined? This realization can be both unsettling and liberating. It's like searching for the source of a river, only to find that it emerges from a boundless ocean. In meditation, when we let go of the need to find the meditator, we open ourselves to something far greater, an experience of vast openness and connection to the unknowable. This is where true meditation begins, not in the search, but in the discovery that there is no solid self to find. Instead, we encounter a spaciousness, a stillness that is beyond the boundaries of our usual understanding. By simply observing perceptions, without attaching to them, without letting them pull us into distraction, we start to experience a deep stillness. Thoughts and feelings will come and go, but by not following them, by not getting caught up in their stories, we sustain this inner stillness. It's as if we're watching clouds drift across the sky. We don't try to grasp them or chase them, we just observe. And as we do, the sky, our consciousness, remains vast and clear, no longer agitated by the constant movement of thoughts. This practice of presence, of remaining here and now without searching or grasping, brings us closer to that profound stillness. And in that stillness, we find something unexpected, not the meditator we were looking for, but an openness that allows us to touch the infinite. It's a discovery that changes everything, revealing that the true essence of meditation lies not in finding, but in letting go. The idea of the self is often at the root of our conflicts and struggles. When we think about ourselves, our desires, our fears, our identities, we start to create a separation between me and everything else. This separation is where conflict begins, as we constantly try to protect, enhance, or defend this sense of self. But what if this self is just a thought, a mental construct that doesn't actually exist in the way we believe it does? When we let go of the thought of the self, something remarkable happens, the conflict fades away, and what remains is harmony. Imagine walking through a dense forest where every step is a struggle, tangled in thoughts of who we are and who we should be. But as soon as we stop identifying with those thoughts, the forest clears, and we find ourselves in an open field of peace. The tension that once defined our every move simply dissolves, revealing a deeper, more natural state of being. This shift happens when we begin to observe the movements of our mind without trying to control or force them. It's like watching the wind play through the trees. We don't try to stop the wind or change its direction, we just notice it. In this way, the mind's activities, its thoughts, emotions, and reactions, become clear. We see them for what they are, passing phenomena, not something we need to cling to or identify with. Through this disinterested observation, clarity emerges. We no longer get lost in the stories our minds create about who we are or what we need to do. Instead, we step back and allow the mind to be what it is, without interference. In this space, where the self is absent, harmony is present. This is not a forced peace, but a natural state of balance that arises when we stop feeding the illusion of the self. It's a profound shift, one that leads to a deeper understanding of our true nature and a more peaceful existence. The mind is an elusive and fascinating entity. Unlike physical objects, it doesn't have a shape, color, or even a fixed location. It's not something we can see or touch, yet it's the very foundation of our experience. When we begin to understand the true nature of the mind, we realize that it is empty in the sense that it doesn't possess any inherent form or substance. But this emptiness doesn't mean the mind is void or non-existent. On the contrary, it is inherently cognitive, alive with awareness and the capacity to perceive. Think of the mind as a clear, open sky. The sky itself doesn't have a color or shape, it's just space. Yet within that space, clouds, storms, and sunshine come and go. The sky remains untouched by these passing phenomena, just as the mind remains pure and clear despite the thoughts, emotions, and experiences that pass through it. This clarity and emptiness are the true nature of consciousness, something that can be experienced directly when we see beyond the surface of our daily thoughts and perceptions. The awakened mind is naturally pure and self-existent. It doesn't need to be created or constructed, it's already there, beyond the confines of material substance or physical limitations. In our everyday life, we often think of ourselves in terms of what we can see and touch, our bodies, our possessions, our achievements. But the mind, in its awakened state, defies these conventional limitations. It's not bound by the physical world, and it doesn't rely on anything external to exist. This understanding of the mind as both empty and cognitive opens the door to a deeper realization that our true nature is not something we need to attain or develop. It's already present, waiting to be recognized. The challenge lies not in changing who we are, but in seeing ourselves clearly, free from the distortions of thought, identity, and ego. When we do, we begin to experience the mind as it truly is, a vast, empty space filled with the light of awareness, pure and limitless. This is the essence of an awakened mind, a state of being that transcends the ordinary and touches the infinite. Embracing the practice of emptiness in daily life is like carrying a quiet, inner stillness with you, no matter where you go or what you do. It's about recognizing that everything we encounter, every thought, emotion, and experience, is ultimately empty of any fixed, inherent meaning. This realization doesn't make life meaningless. Instead, it frees us from being overly attached to the fleeting appearances that constantly shift around us. When we start to see the emptiness in all appearances, our practice becomes effortless and continuous. It's like taking the weight off our shoulders, allowing us to move through life with a sense of ease and lightness. Instead of being caught up in the ups and downs, the triumphs and setbacks, we can maintain a steady, peaceful mind. This doesn't mean ignoring or avoiding life's challenges, but rather facing them with a deep understanding that they are temporary and ultimately not who we are. Meditation, then, becomes more than just something we do during formal sessions. It becomes a natural part of our daily existence. Whether we're working, talking with others, or simply going about our routine, we can remain connected to this sense of emptiness. It's like having an anchor that keeps us grounded, no matter how rough the waters get. This ongoing practice leads to a consistent meditation experience, where we're no longer searching for peace or clarity, they're already present within us. And with this comes a steadfastness in our conduct. We're less likely to be swayed by external circumstances or driven by our own restless mind. Instead, we act from a place of calm and clarity, allowing our true nature to guide us through every moment. In this way, emptiness isn't just an abstract concept or something to be explored during meditation. It becomes a living practice, woven into the fabric of our daily lives, bringing us closer to a state of continuous awareness and harmony with the world around us. The innate nature of consciousness has a quality that transcends the usual markers of time and aging. While our bodies inevitably age, and with that, our physical abilities may diminish, the awakened mind remains untouched by these changes. It's like an eternal flame that burns steadily, unaffected by the passage of time. This is the timelessness of the awakened mind. It doesn't grow old or weary. It doesn't change with the seasons of life, but instead remains a constant, unchanging presence. As our bodies age, it's easy to get caught up in the physical decline, feeling as though our wisdom and capabilities are slipping away. But when we connect with the awakened mind, we realize that true wisdom isn't bound to our physical form. This wisdom comes from a deeper place, a stability that doesn't rely on our body's strength or youthfulness. It's a kind of wisdom that actually grows richer and more profound as we age because it's rooted in something much deeper than the physical world. This stability in the immutable state of consciousness brings a sense of peace and clarity that persists, regardless of how our bodies change. It's like having a steady anchor in a world that is constantly in flux. When we're connected to this deeper wisdom, we're able to navigate the challenges of aging with grace and understanding. Instead of fearing the decline, we embrace it as a natural part of life, knowing that our true essence remains untouched. In this way, the innate nature of consciousness offers us a refuge from the worries and fears that often come with aging. It shows us that there's a part of us that is beyond time, beyond physical limitations, and that this part is where our deepest wisdom resides. By tapping into this timeless aspect of our being, we can live our later years with a sense of fulfillment and peace, knowing that our true self remains as vibrant and alive as ever. The magic of emptiness lies in its profound paradox. What seems like nothing is actually everything. When we think of emptiness, it often conjures images of a void, a space devoid of life or meaning. But in truth, this emptiness is a gateway to something far more extraordinary. It's where true magic resides, a magic that's not about tricks or illusions, but about finding peace, fulfillment, and tranquility in the simplicity of being. Imagine your mind as a cup that's constantly being filled with thoughts, worries, and endless to-do lists. The more you pour in, the heavier and more cluttered it becomes, leaving little room for anything else. But when you embrace emptiness, it's like emptying that cup, allowing it to be free from the burden of mental overload. In that moment, you create space for something new, serenity, clarity, and a deep sense of contentment. In our busy lives, we often seek fulfillment in doing more, achieving more, and acquiring more. But the magic of emptiness teaches us that true fulfillment comes not from adding more to our lives, but from letting go. It's in the quiet spaces between our thoughts, in the moments where we allow ourselves to just be, that we discover a profound serenity, a serenity that is always there, waiting for us to notice. This is the true magic of emptiness. It's the realization that when we stop trying to fill every moment with noise, activity, or distraction, we uncover the stillness and peace that have been there all along. It's like finding a hidden treasure in a place where we least expected it. And once we tap into this magic, it transforms our experience of life. We no longer feel overwhelmed by the demands of daily life. Instead, we find ourselves anchored in a deep, unshakable tranquility, no matter what comes our way. Emptiness offers the incredible freedom of living authentically, free from the many masks we wear each day. Imagine the roles we play, whether at work, with friends, or even with ourselves. We often put on different faces, trying to fit in, please others, or meet certain expectations. Over time, these masks can become heavy, and we may even lose sight of who we truly are underneath. Embracing emptiness is like taking off these masks, one by one, until we're left with nothing but our true, authentic selves. It's in this state of emptiness that we realize we don't need to pretend or strive to be someone we're not. There's a profound freedom in just being, without the need for approval or validation. When we let go of the masks, we also let go of the constant worry and self-criticism that come with them. How often do we find ourselves second-guessing our actions, worrying about how we're perceived, or criticizing ourselves for not being enough? These thoughts can weigh us down, making life feel like a burden. But in emptiness, these worries and criticisms lose their power. We stop measuring ourselves against impossible standards and start embracing who we are, flaws and all. The beauty of emptiness is that it lightens the load of existence. Without the weight of masks, expectations, and self-criticism, we move through life with a sense of ease and freedom. We're no longer bound by the need to conform or the fear of judgment. Instead, we live authentically, with a deep inner peace that comes from knowing and accepting ourselves fully. This is the freedom of emptiness, a life unburdened, a life true to who we really are. Let me share a simple story that holds a profound lesson about the nature of conflict and how we often get caught up in the chaos of life. It's called the parable of the empty boat. The parable of the empty boat carries a powerful lesson about the nature of conflict and the influence of society on our lives. Imagine you're out on a peaceful river, and suddenly, another boat collides with yours. If the boat is empty, there's no one to blame, you might just push it away and continue on. But if you see someone in that boat, your immediate reaction might be frustration or anger. Why didn't they steer away? This story shows us how our reactions are shaped by the presence of others and the expectations society places on us. When there's no one to direct our anger towards, we remain calm. But when we see a person, our emotions flare up, and conflict arises. This is much like how the demands and judgments of society can stir up unnecessary complications in our lives. Society constantly pushes us to react, to defend our egos, and to prove ourselves. It fills our minds with the idea that we must be someone special, someone worthy of attention or respect. These expectations lead to a constant state of comparison, competition, and conflict, both with others and within ourselves. The empty boat represents a state of being free from these societal complications. When we let go of our egos and the need to engage with every challenge or criticism, we move through life with greater peace. We become like that empty boat, unaffected, calm, and in harmony with the world around us. It's a reminder that much of the conflict we experience is a result of the stories we tell ourselves and the roles we feel compelled to play. By embracing emptiness, we can navigate life with a sense of ease, untouched by the turmoil that often surrounds us. In life, we often cling to specific identities and roles, creating a sense of self that we grasp tightly. But these identities are like sand slipping through our fingers, impermanent and constantly shifting. Our relentless pursuit to define and secure these roles, driven by societal pressures and personal aspirations, ultimately leads to exhaustion and dissatisfaction. We find ourselves on a never-ending treadmill, striving to achieve a status or role that seems just out of reach. This chase becomes an endless cycle, depleting our energy and leaving us feeling hollow. To illustrate the futility of clinging to fixed identities, consider the ancient wisdom of Heraclitus: you cannot step into the same river twice. Just as a river is in constant flow, our lives and identities are ever-changing. When we attempt to establish a fixed sense of self, we're trying to step into a river that is perpetually shifting. Our identities, molded by external expectations and internal desires, are subject to continuous change. Trying to capture a static identity is like trying to hold onto a moment in a river that never stops moving. This constant flux means that our efforts to cling to a rigid self-concept will only lead to frustration and exhaustion. The pursuit of a stable identity, driven by societal and personal pressures, is inherently flawed. Just as the river's flow cannot be controlled, our true essence cannot be confined to a single, unchanging identity. Recognizing this allows us to release the struggle for a fixed persona and instead embrace the fluidity of our existence. By accepting the impermanence of our identities, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of peace and authenticity. True happiness isn't found in relentless striving or pushing against the current of life. Instead, it emerges when we allow ourselves to rest in a state of non-action, letting things unfold naturally. Imagine trying to force a flower to bloom faster. No matter how hard you push, the flower will only bloom in its own time. Similarly, in our lives, trying to control every detail or force outcomes often leads to frustration and stress. Consider the story of a river. If you try to swim upstream, you expend immense energy and end up feeling exhausted. But when you let go and flow with the current, you move effortlessly and reach your destination with ease. This flow represents the state of non-action where happiness can naturally arise. The wisdom of Lao Tzu echoes this idea. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Just as nature unfolds at its own pace without rush, our own lives and pursuits benefit from a similar approach. When we rest in this state of allowing rather than forcing, we align with a deeper sense of contentment and ease. In practical terms, this might look like letting go of the pressure to achieve specific goals by a certain time, or releasing the need to control every outcome. By doing so, we create space for things to unfold naturally, and in this space, we discover a profound and enduring happiness that isn't contingent on our efforts but arises from our acceptance of the flow of life. Embracing emptiness means letting go of the need to possess and control. Imagine waves on the ocean. They appear to rise and fall, yet they are never separate from the ocean itself. Similarly, when we adopt the path of possessing nothing, we find a profound sense of freedom. Just as waves are inherently part of the ocean, we are an integral part of existence. When we recognize that we are not separate from the broader fabric of life, we experience a shift from a life of constant striving to one of true contentment. Consider a tree in a forest. It doesn't struggle to be part of the forest, it simply exists as part of it. When we let go of the need for material possessions or rigid identities, we align ourselves with this natural unity. This perspective echoes the words of Rumi: when you let go of who you are, you become who you might be. By releasing our attachment to possessions and fixed ideas, we open ourselves to a deeper connection with everything around us. This connection brings a sense of freedom and happiness that is not dependent on external conditions, but arises from within. Living without the burden of possessing allows us to engage more fully with life. We begin to see that happiness doesn't come from accumulating things, but from understanding our unity with the world. In this state of emptiness, we find that true freedom and happiness are not found in owning or controlling, but in simply being part of the larger whole. To reveal our true self, we must first purify the mind of all concepts, including the very notion of purity itself. This process involves stripping away every preconceived idea and belief that clouds our perception. As Prasad Mahez insightfully puts it, the mind is like water. When it's turbulent, it's difficult to see. When it's calm, everything becomes clear. Imagine a muddy pond where silt swirls with every movement. If you try to see through it, everything is obscured and distorted. But if you allow the water to settle, the silt sinks, and the water becomes clear, revealing what's beneath. Similarly, when we remove all the mental clutter and concepts, our true nature becomes apparent. By letting go of the need to label or define, we allow the mind to settle into a state of calmness. In this serene state, our true self is revealed naturally and effortlessly. The process of purifying the mind is not about adding or achieving, but about removing the layers that obscure our inherent clarity. Once the mind is still, we can see our true essence, unobstructed by the disturbances of conceptual thought. To truly understand the nature of our consciousness, it's crucial to observe our thoughts without clinging to them. When we practice non-attachment, we let thoughts pass through our awareness without grabbing onto them or getting entangled in their content. This simple yet profound practice helps keep the mind still and clear, allowing us to glimpse our true nature. Imagine you're sitting by a river, watching leaves float by on the surface. If you reach out and try to hold onto every leaf, you'll end up with a tangled mess. But if you simply watch them pass by, you can enjoy the flow of the river and the beauty of the moment. Similarly, by observing our thoughts without holding on, we allow our mind to settle into a state of calm and clarity. In this stillness, the true nature of consciousness is revealed. It's like clearing away the clutter in a room to see its original design. When we stop clinging to thoughts and allow them to drift, we create space for a deeper understanding of ourselves, free from the chaos of constant mental activity. To truly experience life in its fullest and most liberated form, we need to understand what it means to live in consciousness. When we shift our focus from identifying with fleeting experiences and possessions to recognizing ourselves as consciousness itself, we unlock a realm of freedom and joy that transcends ordinary living. Imagine yourself as a leaf drifting on a river. If you see yourself as just a leaf, you might worry about getting stuck in the reeds or being carried away by the current. But if you realize you're actually the river, you understand the flow and direction without being troubled by the obstacles the leaf encounters. Similarly, when we identify with consciousness, we become like the river, constant and unaffected by the transient events of life. In this state of consciousness, we remain undisturbed by the ebb and flow of happiness and suffering. Just as the river's surface might ripple and change, our experiences will shift, but the essence of the river remains steady. By recognizing ourselves as pure consciousness, we move beyond the fluctuations of life and find a deeper, unshakable peace within ourselves. Thank you for watching until the end. Your dedication to exploring these profound concepts is truly admirable. Embracing emptiness as a path to peace is a powerful journey, and your commitment to understanding and applying these insights is inspiring. If you found value in this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more. Affirm the wisdom of this video by commenting, "I'm an empty vessel for God's love." Until next time, keep letting your beautiful light shine bright.